This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by IndyWrestling.us. Check out IWC, RWA, and more. And listeners like you, support this show at patreon.com/Wrestling Mayhem Show.
Hungry as fuck, but I ain't starving yet. Chain for the pain, cocktail bar set. Never said I was a gangster or thug, but I'm an animal. Feeding for the taste of the floor.
Hey guys, it's the Indy Mayhem Show, a show where we talk with people in and around independent professional wrestling. We got a special one for you guys here tonight. We're going to take a look back with one of our longtime, oftentimes guest, Matt Light, and talk about Blackcraft Wrestling. Something that holds a special place, I think, in both of our hearts a little bit, and we'll get into that. But first, please go check out everything other podcasts on this network at WrestlingMayhemShow.com. We talk about a lot of wrestling, including the big guys at WWE, AEW, but man, that's kind of melding together these days, isn't it? And of course, over at IndyWrestling.us, where we'll find this show, as well as a lot of people that we talk with on the show and about on the show are featured over there as part of that, on the VODs, on the YouTube stream, as well as over at IndyWrestling.network. We've got a lot of cool stuff going on over there. So with me this week, I thought it was kind of timely. There's a little bit of a documentary that's been going around the internet, and I realize we end up talking about this subject almost every time he comes into the studio off air for a little bit. So we have with us comedian and at one time wrestling creative director Matt Light joining us from his what do you call this? Is this your man cave? Oh wait,
well, first of all, it's Sean is the bartender.
Sean is the bartender.
This is Club Girth. It's
Club Girth. I love it. I love it. By the way, Shawn Michaels there on at his new home. That is the same Shawn Michaels that was here in the studio. Now in his new home at Club Girth. I think it's probably more appropriate. He's probably having a little bit more fun than when he was hanging out here with us.
Yeah, I got this version of him, and then at late nights, I actually have a 6 foot long version of Sean where he's Playboy posing.
Oh,
so
there you go. There you go.
So it just matters which Sean you get.
And you just side by side with him, right?
Yeah, I just hang out with him. They need a friend. I'll be their friend.
There you go. So we wanted to talk about this. Well, first of all, you obviously you had some the involvement with Blackcraft. I want to get into in a moment, and we talked about this on the show. So a little recap for anybody new to this. I just want a really short kind of touch base. Like Blackcraft Wrestling was not the first involvement you had in professional wrestling, and obviously, if you haven't seen Matt Light's set, he has some pretty famous videos out there that have gone viral. They're very wrestling related, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, and things like that. But other than like integrating into your comedy, like what interactions have you had with pro wrestling before otherwise before Blackcraft?
So VOW, Bill Molnar's promotion, before it was just lighting people on fire and hitting people with glass. It was like regular wrestling, and I met Bill. I did a show for stand up, and he was, you would be a great bad guy, a manager. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. And he's like, do you want to do it? I was like, yeah, what do I got to do? He's like, I don't know, just be mean to the audience. I'm like, oh, well, you've been to my shows, I think I can do that well. And so they Patrick Hayes is who they had me set up with. And I worked with Patrick for 2 or 3 shows. It was a lot of fun, man, but it was still like right after I was sick. So I didn't have like availability. And then with doing stand up, it was so much fun. And that was my first real taste of it. And then a few of my friends that I became friends with were involved in wrestling. And then, I started to do wrestling things on stage for stand-up, which actually wasn't supposed to really be anything. The truth is I was actually moving to Los Angeles for stand-up. And 2 weeks before I was supposed to move, the girl I was moving with broke up with me. And I didn't know how to end a show by telling everyone, hey, listen, so this whole going away show, I'm not going anywhere, Wolf of Wall Street never came out yet, so I couldn't do the I'm not leaving thing. So I didn't know what to do. So my manager, or the manager at the Improv, was like, you're a big wrestling fan. Why don't I come out like or why don't you give me the Stone Cold Stunner and I'll fire you like Vince McMahon. And I was like, will you do that? And he was like, yeah, of course. So I was like, all right, cool. Are we going to have to practice this? And I was like, no, just here, I'll send you a video. And then I just sent him this video of these backyard guys doing a stunner. And he's like, yeah, I got it, like that. And then, like, 10 days later, here we are. Should we try it beforehand? He's like, no, we'll be fine. And we did it. And it was so organic and like natural that it actually looked, he sold the hell out of it. So that happened. And that was on Good Morning America. And then once that picked up, then it was like, everybody wanted to see me do something wrestling wise at the end of my shows, which was cool. But it was like, you could tell that like maybe 20 minutes into my set, people were like, yeah, but like, when's he going to choke slam a chick through a table? Or when is he going to light a casket on fire? So, I try to get away from that a little bit, but then I got an opportunity to tour with Rob Van Dam, and I did like 20 cities with him. And, I let him do the wrestling, and I kind of just did my stand-up, but there was still that balance where wrestling fans knew who I was, but I didn't have to do it because the real guy was there. You know what I mean? So I did that, and then I did a couple shows with Honky Tonk Man, and then my buddy Bobby Shubinsky, who owned Blackcraft Clothing, Blackcraft Cult. We were talking about a shirt idea that I had, saying that wrestling is real and God is fake.
That was you.
Yeah. So I was like, this would crush.
By the way, that was not a shirt I would wear because of my own religious alignment, but like sure. I love the shirt. Like it was such a cool shirt. That's like the best shirt, right?
Yeah. So we made the shirt not for Blackcraft Wrestling, just for fun. And then we saw it was getting like hashtagged everywhere. And then we jokingly were like, hey, let's start a wrestling company, right? And then so it was me, Bill Molnar, and Bobby, and then then Bobby was like, my roommate Brandon does a lot of my film stuff. I want to get him involved too. Mm-hmm. So the four of us were the partners, like the four horsemen, if you will, of Blackcraft. And we flew out to Orange County, and we kind of broke down what we wanted to do, who we wanted to use. And then, that was in, I want to say April, and we had 4 months to plan our first big show. And I honestly and the rest is history in the documentary. So history, everything is history now.
It was, I know I heard about this documentary coming out, and I think we were talking beforehand. We kind of had the same vibes, and we're not here. I feel like we're promoting this documentary that none of us have anything to deal with. Right. But I think a lot of people are talking about, so it kind of makes sense to have your side of the story and everything.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, here's another this is why Blackcraft was a piece of shit promotion and Fall of WCW style.
So
right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Brandon told me that they were going to do a documentary, and he was like, "Hey, Bill, Matt, they want to interview you guys because you guys created it." And I immediately said, "Fuck no," because ever since the WrestleMania weekend in New York, we have been the running joke of all indie wrestling.
Oh yeah,
and it's, honestly, it hurts. It really a lot of it was our fault, but there was some shadiness with other indies that kind of set us up to fail that night. But we'll get into that. But so it's a touchy subject for a lot of us because we wanted it to do so well. We really put our heart and soul into it, but it was a situation where there were just too many cooks in the kitchen. Somebody had one role, but for some reason, this guy's giving ideas about a job he's not supposed to be doing. And then you're agreeing to having somebody else. Mm-hmm. So it just, it became one of those situations where I, was bummed out about how it went down. And, they reached out to us and wanted to do this documentary. And I said, absolutely not, because I know exactly what it's going to be. Mm-hmm. You guys are going to come out there and be like, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but it fucking sucked. Mm-hmm. And honestly, like I watched most of it, I think. Like I browsed through it just to see like who was interviewed and stuff. And there really wasn't it was very positive. It
Mhm.
was a this was a cool idea. You know, we weren't just a t-shirt company trying to make a wrestling show. We really like we have backgrounds in wrestling from one way or another. But it ended up not working. So
It was almost an homage to it
yeah.
in a way,
Yeah.
you know.
And it was nice to see, man. It was nice to see too, because on Twitter, you know, we were shit on constantly after
Yeah,
that no
yeah.
apology show, which is hysterical because I wanted to come back this year and just have one show, Mania Weekend, called okay, maybe one apology.
or maybe some mistakes were made.
Yeah. And like, I mean, like I'll tell you everything that happened, like in the reason why we think it failed.
Mhm. Well,
The
can we
Go ahead.
actually let's go back with the things that were working. Let's go back to the beginning because we were getting a little bit of that too. But so I attended, and I remember this thing was building up, and
Yeah.
here in Pittsburgh, it's a very Pittsburgh born thing. Seeing the people involved, knowing that Bill was with his background with Vicious Outcast Wrestling. I knew the Blackcraft stuff and Paige and everybody. It was localized to the point where even that infamous effect that we'll talk about later was basically made by the guy down the street from me here in Beachview. This was in this old church called the Priory. The market material is off the wall.
Yeah.
They go and big into the documentary about PCO and these ridiculous mutilation videos with which is funny. The guy that they use for that I see all over the place is the guy that I saw doing the skin hanging thing at the Gathering of the Juggalos the year before.
Oh,
So it
yeah.
that brought everything even more together. At least me personally, for being like, I want to see what the hell these guys are up to.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, like when we first started, like the first thing we said is we need a venue.
Mm-hmm.
And I said we gotta get Mr. Smalls. That was my original idea because I wanted it to be a church. I said we everything that this is supposed to be has to make sense, right? And I was like, we have to find a church venue. Altar bar was no longer a thing. I didn't know about the Priory. I just we looked at Mr. Smalls. They didn't know really much about us, so they told us no, which is hysterical because later on they were begging us to do shows there. But no, they wouldn't let us do the show. They said they can't do wrestling there because of some issues. So then I just said, well, screw it. I'm just going to search wedding venues because 90% of them are churches, right?
Right.
So I didn't tell them. Like when I called them, I was like, hey, we're interested in booking your venue. And they're like, oh, great. How many guests? And I was like, yeah, it's going to be a lot.
I don't know, about 1,000 of my closest friends.
Yeah, so I didn't tell them what it was. And then once they realized that we had money, they were like, whatever, fine, and they let us do it. So we paid, I want to say like we paid like $7,000 to rent that room.
Jeez.
Yeah, and like for somebody who like with Bill, like I mean, Bill rents, an ice skating rink. He used to do that, and like so, like that was a few $100s. When he did the movie theater venue, that was a couple $100s, I think. So like for us, getting the green light to do something bigger and better, we just had to do it because I felt like a lot of people knew what the Blackcraft clothing brand was. If we did this half-ass, it just wasn't going to be good. And we wanted to come right out of the gate, right? So we go to do the first show, and we have a stacked card. And I remember one of the issues and we ran into, I'm putting the card together, and I said, we need to do a ladder match right off the bat because I just want to set the tone for the night, right? I don't want any bullshit flippy match in the beginning because that's not what Blackcraft is, Blackcraft is like hardcore and makeup and whatever. And I was like, we got to set the tone. So we actually, I don't care. I'll be honest. Aleister Black actually called us because he's friends with Bobby about the card. And he liked the idea of the card, but he said that if you did a ladder match right off the bat, it's not going to work. It's going to kill the whole show. And I strongly disagreed with a guy who was in the top guy at NXT. I was like, fuck him. What does he know? We're still doing it, right? Because I wanted to do it our way. And then sure enough, later on, the next NXT takeover, guess how they started their pay-per-view with? It was a fucking ladder match. Like a and I was like, okay, so you can do it, but we can't. I'm like, we're totally doing it now, right?
Yeah.
So we did it, and honestly, man, like, yeah, the show had glitches. It had a few mistakes for sure, but there was an ECW vibe to it. I felt like it was organic. The crowd was not forced to cheer for what they wanted, who they wanted, because we had Britt Baker, who's a local girl, but we also had Saraya there. And then nobody knew that Paige was going to be in the building.
Mm-hmm.
And then we almost got in trouble for that because so we had set up that Paige was going to hit Britt. Okay. So I'm in the back. I have my headset on and I'm telling them very specifically, hey, listen, when Britt rolls out of the ring, Paige is going to smack her in the face. Do not get it on camera. It's only for the people in Pittsburgh to see, right? Because we can't have Paige involved in a match. So, sure enough, cameraman, not listening to me on the headset, cuts to that side camera, and there's Paige, clear as day, just smacking Britt across the face. And it was so hard because I'm in Gorilla and I'm sick to my stomach because now I'm like, oh, shit, like, Paige is going to be fired. Like, Paige is going to get in trouble for doing this, because she's affiliated with WWE. She can't be doing the shit. So then we see that goes viral. She didn't get in trouble, which was awesome. But then that went over well. And then my original idea was to bring in John Morrison as the champ because I wanted a guy that had WWE pedigree, a guy that was doing really well in the indie scene. And we were actually out for dinner. It was me, Bobby, and Rosa Mendez. And I was like, hey, like, what's Morrison up to? Like, can we get him? And she's like, oh my God, yeah, like, me and Taya are really close. We could definitely do that. Are you like, do you want me to ask? And I was like, absolutely. So I hit up Morrison, and honestly, like, out of everyone at Blackcraft, as far as the talent's concerned, Morrison was the guy, surprisingly, that literally called me every single day.
Wow.
And was pitching ideas because he loved the idea of Blackcraft. And it was so cool to see that because this is a guy who's done it all. You know what I mean? Intercontinental champion, tag team champion, one of the top guys in the business. And like the respect that he gave us, you know what I mean, meant a lot to me. And it's a shame because we didn't have that same respect with 90% of the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an issue that we realized very quickly when we didn't know certain terminology inside wrestling. So we're going over. Oh, go ahead.
So they basically, like, most people running the show weren't regular promoters, right?
Right.
Like, you've had your couple of spots, but you didn't really work on the back end of it. And Bill was probably the closest to it on his side, probably out of the people that you mentioned.
Yeah, Bill was the closest, but the problem with Bill is Bill doesn't talk. You know what I mean?
He's a quiet guy. He's a quiet guy. Yes. Yeah.
He's a quiet guy. So I'm like, well, fuck it, I'll say it.
Yeah.
So we do the warm up before the show, and I'm like, hey, everybody have fun. We really just want to have a really positive vibe here. We want everyone to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
We have the finishes set the way that we want them. We have hard times. And other than that, whatever your time is, you have that middle time to put yourself over and do whatever you want because we want you to understand that you're a part of this for a reason. So, like I would say like, okay, I want to do this. I want to do that. Right. And then I'm not going to name who, but they were like, all right, so we're going to do a double down and then the lights go out. You'll know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
You watch the match. So I'm like, yeah, double down. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
He's like, you fucking kidding me? I'm like, you could have just said, hey, we're both down on the ground. And then, like, I understand, you know, so I was just like, all right, cool. But, like, at least he's teaching me and he's passionate about what he does. And who I'm talking about was actually one of the more helpful guys in Blackcraft later on. It was Dickinson. It was Chris Dickinson. He was like, you could tell, like, he was on Evolve. He's done a lot of that shit. You know what I mean? So I just was like, oh, fuck, here's this big muscular guy about to break my face in half, you know, over a fake fucking match that I'm, like, putting him over in. And I'm like, hey, like, you do what you want, man. Like, and I explained how it was going to happen. But when he used terms that I didn't know, here's me in, like, Urban Dictionary looking at, like, what's a tweener? What is a? So that was a problem, man. The locker room, a lot of these guys knew that Bobby had a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they took advantage of him significantly. And guys that we thought were friends with took advantage of him and the situation. But the first show was good. And then, you know, well, let me ask you, go ahead, and then I'll go where you want to go afterwards.
No, yeah, absolutely. It came off well. There was a lot of interesting stuff. You know, there was the band, there was the so one of the things that, because I've been at shows where, and there was a tiny bit of this, but where you know, there was the band there, and there was some people that were there probably just for the band. That seemed minimal with this situation. It was mostly wrestling fans at this.
And the big reason why is because we didn't tell anybody that they were performing until we were almost sold out.
Yeah.
Falling in Reverse, I mean, is a huge band. I mean, they sell out Stage AE on their own. And we knew that, like, if we had them announce that they were going to be at this event, then it was just going to be a bunch of teenage girls there that wouldn't pay attention to the matches, you know, kind of like when Warped Tour, like, because we were offered Warped Tour to do wrestling, and we said, fuck no, because who's going to go stand out in 99-degree weather and watch wrestling when there's 7 bands performing, you know? So anyways, so we were like, yeah, we're not really going to tell anybody the band's coming until like 2 weeks prior, and we're pretty much sold out. And that was more so to see how our live streaming would do.
Yeah.
You know, and the live streaming did really well. Not nearly as, I mean, we put $70,000 into our production for the first show.
Yeah, there was a production truck.
I
remember I was messaging Bill. I was like, "Are you sure you don't need help with the camera?" Because, you know, thinking the Indy company mentality.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I just want to, you know, if you guys need any help, I don't want it at the last minute, so I bought a ticket and I wasted it, you know. And then I like show up and see the production truck. I'm like, oh, they don't need my help. Like they got no, they're good.
We might have needed your help when that fucking guy fell off.
Oh my god, yes. Whoa, that would scare the crap out. It was during the ladder match. He's on a scaffold doing the hard cam on the side there. That's why you notice the early matches. You probably get a shot you don't see the rest of the night. I don't know if you passed out or what.
I'm in Gorilla and I just see the camera go like this.
Yeah.
And then I hear people chanting for the camera guy. I'm like, why are they chanting for the camera guy?
I thought it was a bump in the ladder match since there was guys all over the place.
Right? So I'm like, a guy just fell. I'm not laughing at that. I'm just saying, like, you knew Blackcraft was doomed from show 1.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
This was, and I was like, fuck, like, the show's going so good. And
maybe that
boom.
God is fake, wrestling is real was a bad idea for a t-shirt.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to do this in a church? Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
There you go.
That was your lightning.
Yeah. So, I mean, the guy fell. He's fine now, I think. I don't know the situation. I don't own Blackcraft Wrestling. I'm not involved in that portion of it.
Yeah.
But I think he's fine. But yeah, I mean, that happened, and then you know, but the show was good. There was a lot of momentum behind it. We went on to do the next show. I think we were supposed to do was the Every Time I Die show. Unless there was one in between. I know we did a Canadian one, but I can't remember if that was in between.
So from my fuzzy recollection, I believe there was supposed to be one on the West Coast before the Buffalo show, perhaps?
Yeah, we were supposed to do one called Reaper's Revenge in Orange County.
Yeah.
And we thought it would draw a lot better
Mm-hmm.
in Orange County, but like Bar Rescue was like the thing. Or I said Bar Wrestling. Well, now it should be called that. But Bar Wrestling, but Bar Wrestling was like the top thing. Is that what it's called? Bar Wrestling?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So like it was like the top promotion like out there, and we were gonna book that guy on our show and have him on there, and but we were like, well, he's probably not going to promote. It's his local area. A lot of these guys, like, we'd be spending so much money bringing in all East Coast talent to doing West Coast.
Yeah.
But that's the way we wanted to do it, because we felt like if we brought East Coast guys in, the West Coast never gets to see them.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd bring something different. Anyways, due to what happened with the guy, this is what I was told. Due to what happened with the guy falling off the ladder, we had to postpone a show for legal reasons. I don't believe that. I think we had really low fucking ticket sales. Because I remember the venue that we rented, it was as big as Pittsburgh. But like Pittsburgh, like there was so much hype behind it because it was homegrown.
Yeah.
You know, like Brandon, who worked with us and was just like equally as important as me and Bill were, was over there, but he's not from there. He's from Newcastle. Bobby, who, you know, is from Avella, PA. I mean, he's got his friends and stuff out there, but there's not a following out there other than the actual Blackcraft clothing company that's out in Orange County. So the ticket sales didn't go well. We canceled that. I do know we did a Canada show. That was kind of just whatever.
That was I'm refreshed because of the documentary. I believe the Buffalo one happened, and then the Canada was with Destiny, and it was kind of a cross show.
Yeah. So, okay. So I'll tell you about that. So the first one was Buffalo. That was Every Time I Die Fest. And the year prior, they had Empire Wrestling do it. I think that's the name, right? That's Buffalo's promotion.
Yeah, I believe so.
So those guys did it the year before. And from my understanding, they just did it for free, just to do something for fun, and they got to have a good time. The problem is, from my understanding, is that those assholes charged Blackcraft to perform at this fucking concert, right? And when I heard that, I was really annoyed, because I was like, well, you got to get the rights to stream the fucking concert to them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like we have to. Like, how are we going to make our money back?
Yeah.
So we paid X amount of money to get onto this show. We weren't allowed to stream the concerts. We were an early, like 3 p.m. show. So, you know, people are filing in the first half of the show, kind of just going, hey, there's some asshole doing cartwheels. That's pretty cool.
It kind of turned into that Warped Tour issue that you were concerned about.
Yeah, because for me, it was like, how are we supposed to tell a story with an audience that is not involved? They're not invested. They haven't seen anything we did. And honestly, unless the guy does this, they don't know who he is. You know what I mean? Or what? So we were like, I was like, this is just not gonna, let's just make the best of it, right? So we do what we do. I'm talking to Morrison before the match, and we're like, okay, do something fun with Killer Cross. And he's like, how about I do the HBK Undertaker match, pretty much? And I was like, go ahead, man, have fun. I don't care. Because this show is just really, at this point, spot fest is the only way we could get their attention, you know? And if there's no crowd sound, I mean, you saw what happened with WWE Now with no audience. There needs to be engagement. So the problem is we pandered to that. So we spent a shit ton of money flying people out there. We didn't make a fucking dime off the streams. The streams were terrible. And then that was when all the Every Time I Die guys like Andy and Pepper and these guys ended up having a lot of say in the locker room. Kind of like, fuck these dudes, they're pushovers, we can do whatever we want. I think OVE apparently was like that as well. You know, I don't know how true most of this is, but I'm just being told from what other wrestlers are telling me, oh, they're shitting on you guys. And I was like, well, fuck them then. I was like, quit using them. You know what I mean? Like, if they don't want to be here, And then also, it's like, we heard that a lot of the wrestlers were charging, let's say hypothetically, a wrestler's fee is like $400 in travel, right?
Yeah.
When they came to Blackcraft, they were like, oh, we're $1,250.
Yeah.
Like there's guys at Black and Brave that were making $300 a night plus travel. And I'm like, how? Why? Like, we literally paid a local guy what we agreed to pay them, which if I would have known you were paying them that, I would have paid our guys that same amount.
Yeah.
Or like, you shouldn't be being paid that much, So that was a big problem. But Mania is what fucking ruined us. Mania was, that was the killer. And the biggest reason why is because Brandon lived on the West Coast. Me and Bill lived on the East Coast. We could group chat as much as we want, but people were in everybody's ears. And Brandon would just be like, yeah, you can get on the show. Yeah, we'll find room for you. And we had like 8 matches in a 3-hour time slot.
It kind of lay out. So this was this the Collective at the time?
This was the Collective.
Okay.
And they fucked us intentionally on this, 100%. Because we wanted the midnight spot. We didn't care about that. And they were mad because we outsold every show. Like, we outsold Joey Janela. We outsold Bloodsport. We literally were telling people, you can't come in. And I was actually taking him in the back. I was like, give me $20. I'll let you fucking walk through the front, because I'm like, this is going to be our last show anyways.
What are they going to do? Shut us down, right?
Yeah, what are you going to do? Shut us down? And what did they do? They shut us down. So we were under the impression we had X amount of time. Mm-hmm. There was no hard out. We'll be fine. So Janela's assholes, they do their thing. And then all of a sudden, we're having technical problems when you saw our production.
Yeah.
Somehow shit's not working. And wires are being unplugged.
Yeah, and I know who does your video production, at least after that first show, and they're usually very, very top notch.
Yeah. So we're realizing there's a lot of things that are very suspiciously not working. Mm-hmm. When we set up the show, another problem we had is we had a different seating chart than everybody else.
Yeah.
So we had a different seating chart. So now we have to move chairs back and forth, move them around. I got people literally standing on the stage. I'm like, you need to get the fuck out of the way. Like, you don't know this, but in 30 minutes, a guy's going to have his throat slit right where you're at. you got to move.
Things you never thought you'd have to say in your life.
Yeah, which was so. We have the New Jack thing was 100% true, by the way.
So yeah, recap that for people that didn't check out the doc. And please watch the documentary. Don't take anything away from what's happening over there. It's over. I'll throw them a shout. It's on this. Well, actually, if you just type Blackcraft Documentary on YouTube, you will find it like nothing. And they do the alt version of what was supposed to happen. Who was the fellow that was that your production, like video production guy that was a part of that?
Brandon.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's Brandon, and originally Brandon wasn't supposed to write storylines.
Yeah.
But then he started writing them, and like he had just ridiculously fun ideas that made no fucking sense. And I wasn't close friends with Brandon the way that I am now, where I could tell him, hey man, that's stupid. You know what I mean? Because he's Bobby's roommate, and him and Bobby are friends. So like, I'm like, well, if I tell him no, I'm out.
Yeah.
So I had to balance everything. Like, so that night we had Matt Justice versus Gangrel. He was like, all right, Justice loses and gets a bloodbath. I go, then how does he win the title at the end of the night? I'm like, how's he going to get a bloodbath and then win at the end of the night? I get like Mania, like Orton beats, Rollins, and that's how they usually do it. But like, you can't be covered in blood and then be champion that night. Like, it just makes no sense.
Yeah.
Then they're like, well, all right, we're going to have New Jack show up to a PCO Open Challenge. And he was trying to get this for like 3 months. He's like, and he's going to shoot PCO. I go, do you realize what's going to happen if an audience member sees that a guy has a gun? One, wrestling fans are batshit crazy. Some of them might be carrying right now.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, no. I learned very recently how much that is true and how many of the wrestlers are packing in the back.
Yeah.
It's changed my outlook on fans.
Yeah, man. So I that was and for me, who's do anything, whatever. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you know me. I don't care what we do. We'll push the envelope, And I was like, that's stupid. I go, we're not doing that, right? That's ridiculous. Somebody could fall getting trampled leaving the arena, and we're more liable than when the guy's head was leaking off the camera stand. So I'm like, we're not doing that. And he's like, well, let's crucify a guy. And I said, why? He goes, because it'll be cool. I'm like, okay, but why? So we do this crucifixion that's supposed to start off the match. Would that take 40 minutes to put some nails in a guy's hand? I'm like, well, there's 3 matches that we just lost because of that. You know what I mean? Then we have our card top to bottom was the best card the whole weekend. Nobody can argue it. We had the most talent on our cards. The problem is we didn't know how to use them because we had too much talent. So,
can I put it? So obviously we're going to get to the there you were somewhat quoted at one point. I don't know if you saw that part when they were talking about rearranging things, cutting things for time. Can we cut the throat slit spot? And I believe you were quoted, and this is off the top of my head, as no, we have to do this because it was too expensive.
No.
Okay. And this is a secondhand retelling. Yeah.
Brandon again. I didn't care about the throat being slit. I thought that was stupid too. Because here's why. If you followed Blackcraft Wrestling, who was supposed to be the leader of everything? Pinhead, right?
Yeah. So what do you do from there? Is he just walking around with a scar?
How powerful was the guy? The first show, we spit water in his fucking face after winning the ladder match. So we buried him there. The second match, he's going to fight his son, the preacher's son. He loses. The preacher's son loses.
Which is Killer Cross, correct?
Killer Cross, loses to Morrison. So now it's okay, so how much power does this guy have? Nothing he does works. And then we kill him? What was the point of paying this guy $3,000 to show up every event to not be who he is? So it made no sense to me. So I made the decision. I go, listen, after Mania, we're getting rid of Doug. We can't use him. There's no point. You guys want to have him get beat up, spit on, have his throat cut. I'm like, what else do you want to do with him? You know what I mean? Next week he's gonna get hit with a bag of pillows. I don't understand where he was supposed to go. So yeah, I 100% didn't want to do any of that shit.
Yeah.
Because to me it was we're like a movie in a ring. You know what I mean? We had that vibe to it. But at the same time, it's still wrestling. It still has to make somewhat sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like WWE when they threw guys off the Money in the Bank thing and they died and showed up Monday. So stupid.
Oh, that's
right?
Bad. That pissed me off so bad. Yeah.
Yeah, so stupid because now they're not superheroes. As much as you want to treat them as superheroes, they're not. If we show a guy getting his throat slit, he's not coming back. So yeah, that was not my idea at all. I eventually was fine with it just because, like I said, what else was I gonna say? But the idea that I pitched that got turned down. So I'm talking to Morrison. I know Morrison's contract's up. I know he's leaving Impact. And I know he was considering going to WWE. So I was like, okay, you have to drop the title. What do you think we should do? And Morrison had the coolest idea, I think, ever. Because this was right when women's wrestling was white hot. It was the top thing ever. He's like, what if we do a domestic battle? Me versus Taya. and literally everything but the kitchen sink. We're throwing household items at each other, beating the hell out of each other, and she beats me for the title. And I was like, yeah, why not? I was like, I've never seen it before. We wanted to get a female on the announcing team, but the dynamic that we had between what was it? Johnny LaQuasto, who did 205, and Bees was absolutely phenomenal. Like, they worked so well together. And then LaQuasto backed out of it because he signed with WWE, so he couldn't do it. And then we had Kevin Gill and Larry Legend, I think, do commentary. And if you go back, you can hear them talking shit on us before the show starts. They had a hot mic during the pre-show, so they're talking shit on us too. And I just was like, are you like, I like Kevin Gill as a person, but to me, like, for announcing, he would have never been a top 50 choice of mine, just because I don't like when you do commentary and you use the F word. I think in a promo, it's fine if you're mad and you use it one time to mean something. But when you're like, he's effing crazy, look at this effing, I'm like, you're taking the match away from the performers.
Even at Blackcraft.
Yeah. Like, even with Blackcraft, it was just made no sense. So, like I said, these are little things that, went bad. So anyways, the show goes bad. We end up running out of time. They're literally turning the lights on us. And I was like, all right, what do we do? So it's I'm backstage with Morrison and David Starr. That's his name, right? David Starr?
Yeah, I think so.
Is he canceled?
I believe so, last I heard.
Okay. Well, so that guy, he was actually super cool that night because, like, he was so excited to fight Morrison. Like, they were excited to put on a match. And he was like, listen, you gotta put your local guy forward. Like, you gotta put him over. So we'll just have a quick roll-up bullshit match so that Matt can go out there and fight for the title. That match was 18 seconds long, which, by the way, had one vote for Match of the Year. Some asshole voted that as the Match of the Year, which was so funny. And then Matt Justice came out and literally killed, what's his name?
Bud Bradley. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was it. And then we were so, like, frustrated with the show, and I saw that we were the number one trending thing worldwide, and I was like, this is the coolest fucking thing ever. Just don't click on it. Just don't click on it.
Well, we have to talk. So part of the documentary, they got Matthew from Botchamania, and they talk about their experience discovering the show and then going through the show as kind of posthumously for doing. I think you guys got an entire episode of Botchamania. That has to be a little bit of a badge of honor for you, right?
Yeah. Like, the wound is fine now. I mean, like, we saw, like, when we got the botch, because my whole thing was, and I don't want to sound like an asshole, but the whole time it was, I told you so. Yeah. Everything that went wrong, I addressed it from day one. The guys that we were booking that were giving bullshit prices, I knew about it. Because I have friends in the business. But then, these guys are my friends. No, they want your money. They're not your friends. Trust me. So, like, everything was, I told you so, I told you so. But seeing that we had our own Botchamania was, because, I mean, like, that was, like, one of my favorite first YouTube videos was Botchamania. So, like, I was like, oh, wow, I made it to the worst thing ever, and it's the best thing
You're
ever.
Like officially gobbledygooker status.
Yeah.
As a company.
But I will say this. I'm still waiting for WWE to hand us a check for the AJ Styles Undertaker match that we did a year and a half ago with Matt Justice. The exact same fucking thing. Getting hit by a car with the Druids, the farm, everything. We did the whole thing a year and a half before, and we know for a fact that WWE saw it. mean, they might have did it better than us.
Yeah, a little bit more money to put into that, probably, right?
Yeah, just a little bit. But I'm still waiting for that check.
Oh man. So so what was, other than the I told you so's and everything, and we talked about the money and dealing with the talent and things like that. What was the biggest lesson for you out of this experience?
I wouldn't say it was a lot. I mean, I think just stick to your guns.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was it, because I think if we would have just been hard-headed, thick-headed, a lot of us wanted the approval of these guys, to have their respect, to hope they wanted to do this as much as we did. And in that time, we may have been taken advantage of, when, if, like Nino, who worked with VOW, he's an absolute fucking prick backstage. He is. I like Nino, but he's very blunt. He wants it his way, and he tells you how to do it. And I don't think any of us had the balls to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were more so like, well, we'll listen to you guys. You guys are the experts.
You're saying you needed the Nino attitude in order to advocate, and you didn't have that.
The game plan was, afterwards, Chris Dickinson was going to be the locker room guy to make sure there was no bullshit going on. We were going to pay him, and we were going to have Saraya be for the women, and kind of make sure, hey, listen, if you're a part of this promotion, you're going to do it right. And like, Dickinson gave us a lot of advice and helped us significantly. But, we never had that redemption. It was a bummer. We still have our group chat, which is BCW. We talk about it every day, how much we miss it, what we did wrong, how we could make it right. The only problem is that me, Brandon, and Bill don't own the name Blackcraft Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So we can never use that name again, because we're not allowed. So I've been trying to get it off of Bobby. And hopefully there may be one apology in 2021.
There it is. Well, you still got the belt over there, a belt over there. The champion, the champion still has his belt, and showed off the wonderful gift bag that it comes in.
Oh, so let me tell you something. Can I tell you something really fun? You want to hear a spoiler?
Yeah.
So, what's his name? Warhorse? Is that his name?
Yes.
So he thought he was slick, and they thought they were going to advertise the Blackcraft Wrestling title.
What? I remember that at the WrestleMania event, right?
Yeah. Well, guess what? What they didn't know is we were buying tickets, and we were going to hop the fence and steal our fucking title back in the middle of the match.
Wait, were they going to have like Justice's like actual title?
So Justice had the title.
Yeah.
And he had it in a bag. And me and Matt are friends. And I messaged Matt, and I just said to him, I go, hey, listen, Blackcraft needs that belt back for auditing reasons. Because it was my way of saying, don't fucking do it. Please don't do it.
Yeah.
I didn't care, because it is what it is. We lay in the bed that we made, But once we realized that they kept advertising the Blackcraft Championship, I messaged the guy at Black Label Pro, no, that wasn't it. Whoever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that was it, Black Label. Anyways, I messaged the guy and I go, hey, listen, if you advertise this belt, you're going to have a problem. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I go, you can't have it here and put a red X over it and pretend we don't know what you're doing, Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, yeah, and all of a sudden you care about law? And I said, fuck it. So I told Brandon, I go, we're going to get blackout drunk. This is our moment. The second that match starts and they're away from the ring, I'm distracting. You're taking the belt and taking off. And we're taking our belt back. So that was we had an Airbnb. We had everything ready to go. booked in Tampa. My flights were booked in Tampa. So like the whole time, like when Vince was kind of like, I don't know if we're going to have it. Like I was so excited because I'm like, they're not going to cancel WrestleMania. Vince likes money more than his family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is our moment. This is our Blackcraft redemption. We were going to have a teaser prepared for it.
But by the way, I am pulling it up. It was Black Label Pro. I think there's another promotion, Action something, but it's a small font. The match was Vampire Death Match, in parentheses, for the belt that shall not be named, Matthew Justice versus AJ Gray.
Yeah, that was it. So we were so mad. It's like, when you have a family member that you hate and you make fun of him, but if somebody else makes fun of him, you take it personal.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, we all call ourselves idiots. Like me, Brandon, Bill, we all shit on each other about Blackcraft. But when somebody else brings it up, I'm like, hey, man, not cool. Only we can say that, So we were literally, no joke, we were going to steal the title successfully. And then we had a promo ready to promote that we were going to come back and do one more show. With or without Bobby's permission, we were doing it.
Wow.
So, hopefully, 2021.
It's going to happen.
One apology.
One apology. I love it.
Yeah.
Matt, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Letting us hang out with Sean again. The Blackcraft title,
Here it is.
Girth Cave.
One of 15 of them.
There you go. There you go. Does not come with the cool bag that Justice showed off in the.
No, they were supposed to be big duffel bags.
Yeah.
And we got them produced in China, and they were just this big, and we're like, oh, we'll give it to the guy with the belt, and that was it. That was it.
It's a great story, and they're over in that documentary about like him realizing there's a bag from Johnny Blackcraft.
Yeah.
Name of the week, Johnny. Matt, please tell everybody. Of course, you guys, you're still doing a lot of great stuff from the safety of the Girth Cave. So please tell everybody where can people find out what you're up to.
So I'm hoping in a couple of weeks I'm named Best Comedian in Pittsburgh. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I was nominated. We'll see. Was
that the City Paper one?
City Paper, yeah. I never won that one. I won Pittsburgh Magazine 3 years.
Go get the vote.
I never won this one. So hopefully I get it. And it's tough. I'm doing live videos. I'm doing 10-minute roast or $10 roast videos. So if you have any friends you don't like, add me on Facebook.
There you go.
Show me their profile. I'll roast them for $10. I'm doing live food reviews. I'm doing power hours. I'm drinking. I'm just having fun. I'm just really I don't know. I'm just living life right now as I have a grown man job right now, and I hate it. So please, COVID, please end. Please wear your masks. Get this over with. I'm sick of being an adult. I want to go back to making money talking about my balls.
There you go. He just wants to live the American dream.
Yeah, that's the American dream.
Thank you so much. And again, check out that documentary. It's The Rise and Fall of Blackcraft Wrestling by Benjamin Falbo. Somebody said, somebody on our Slack, one of our crew said, hey, we should get this guy on to talk about the documentary. And I was like, I want to get Matt on because we talk about it every damn time he comes in the studio. So
yeah, you will get the truth from me.
There you go.
I have no problem.
There is no fancy editing here, guys.
No, that's it.
So hopefully it's been a nice additional material for those that did check out that documentary. And of course, please support what we're doing over here at WrestlingMayhemShow.com, IndyWrestling.us. Still trying to figure out our own way to do wrestling in the COVID area with our friends. New matches in the past several months and coming up with our friends Prospect Pro Wrestling and Fight Underground. A lot of cool stuff going on there. So guys, please, until next time, support independent documentary makers, the Girth Cave, and support indie wrestling. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.